Hi there. In this video I'm going to use Photoshop to remove models from a background of an image and then replace a background with a new background. So if I double click on links here, I've got a Photoshop document that has a couple of layers in it. It's called Cover Models, so I'm just going to double click on that. It's opening Photoshop. Just takes a moment here. I'm just going to resize Photoshop to fit. So I'm just going to double click on my hand tool in my toolbar, and that'll resize the document to fit my work area. Now this document has a couple of layers. You can see what's on what layer by toggling the little eyeball. So that's my favorite way to see what is on what layer. So they're both off. This one is on top of this one, so it obscures it. So if I turn it off, then I can see this one show and hide. And these this checkerboard indicates transparent images. So the background of this document is transparent. So what I want to do is remove these models from this background here and then put them on this background. So what I do is I just simply click on my selection tool and I click on select and mask. And this is a new name for this task in this version of Photoshop, but notice it says create or refine a selection. So in earlier versions you see it's refine edge, same command. So I'm just going to click on that, and then with this first tool selected, what's happening here is it's opening in a dialog so that we can remove those subjects from the background. So presently the entire layer, the layer that we selected, let me just go back here, I'll hit cancel. I've got original selected here. So when I choose select and mask, the entire layer is selected to be a mask. That's why we see the background. So what I'm going to do is select the very first tool and then select subject. Now the notes for this section have you do something extra there, but it's not necessary. This is the method that'll get the tightest selection right off the bat. Now I want to refine the edges. Let me just quickly show you why. So if I just zoom into this guy here, you notice there's some, it's basically pixels from that gray background that we had in his hair there. You'll see it more if I go to this overlay here, and I'm using blue for a color because there's no blue in the images. And you see that there's a bunch of white in there. So with this tool here, we can refine the edge so that you see more of his hair. So basically what I want to do is remove the foreground, that is the models, and add the background to those little white speckles. So if you think of it that way, it might make a fair amount of sense. So to do that, I'm going to use Smart Radius. I'm going to crank up my radius to about 30. That's close enough. And I'm going to use this tool here, the second one. This is the Refine Edge brush tool. By the way, sometimes that tooltip doesn't pop up. And then I'm going to use, that adds basically, that adds more of the background in this situation if I drag within here. So I'm going to put that plus sign right on the edge. So generally for something fuzzy like this, you want more of the background. For a hard edge, you want less of the background. That's my rule of thumb. So I'm just going to quickly drag across his hair. Gives you kind of a little bit of a preview there. Like that. When I let go of the mouse, you kind of get an idea. To see what it's going to look like against the new background, you can click on this little view option here and go on layers. So it looks pretty good. It's nice and sharp. But I see it's kind of fuzzy around his jacket, so I'm going to go back to overlay here And I'm going to use the minus. I'm going to remove the background from the hard edges. So starting over on his ear here, I'm going to put that minus sign right on the edge and drag around all the way around his face. These are all hard edges. And I want some more of his jacket. And then starting over here, the same thing. And you don't really have to worry too much about what is actually happening here. You just basically just trace around the edge of an image, and you can rest assured that you'll get the results. This is the smart radius, so it does all the work for you basically. It kind of guesses at what you're trying to do, so you don't have to give it too much help. So I'm just going to go around the hard edges with the minus all the way around. So I want to subtract the background. Basically, I want to reveal more of the model. By the way, you can hold down your spacebar to scroll. If you hold down your spacebar with any painting tool such as this, it turns into the hand tool, and then you can shift. Let me just show you what I mean. I hold down the spacebar and I can move to another area. When I let go, it switches back to the same tool I had before. So you don't have to go and reach over and grab a scroll bar. So again, I'm using the smart radius so we don't have to worry too much about where we drag. So notice there's a big chunk of hair in there. I want to see that in the original or in the finished result. So it kind of guessed, Photoshop guessed what we were trying to do there. And if you see any little blue speckles in anywhere in the image, you can just do a quick little run across them as well. Now, when I switch to on layers, this is what it'll actually look like when I save the thing. You notice that we still see quite a bit of gray from the original background. So that's what this little down at the bottom here, that's what this little decontaminate colors is for. It'll add the colors from the models as well as the new background so that we don't have that kind of halo of the old background. You'll see it a little bit more remarkably in the female model here, the woman model. So notice what happens when I click on decontaminate colors. Looks quite a bit more natural, right? So I'm going to choose that. I'm going to choose new layer with layer mask. I'm going to choose OK. And now it hid the original layer, and it gave me an original copy with the masks that we just created and the cityscape. And if I just hide that area there, I can use these arrows to hide these panels, by the way. And if I double click on my magnifying glass, it'll zoom to 100%, so you can take a closer look at the results. Or you can double click on your hand tool to see the entire thing. And I'm quite happy with that, so I'm going to go ahead and save this in the same place as the same place I got it from. So I'm going to choose File, Save, and just to make sure, File, Save As, you can check where it went. Oh, it's still saving. Should be good now. File, Save As, and it's going to be in less than 2 links. That's where I got it from, and that's fine. So I can hit Cancel. So that's basically removing models from a background so that we can reveal a new background on another layer. And by the way, that's something that you'll find that you do the most of with Photoshop. You'll be taking subjects and then putting them on a new background more than anything else. All right, thanks so much for watching. We'll talk to you soon.